Hi, this is Zubin Vevaina from A to Z Graphology. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how some of the concepts found in graphology can help you or your child deal with learning disabilities, learning difficulties a bit better. You'll be able to understand your child a little better by the way he writes in his notes. You'll be able to understand yourself. Learning disabilities or learning difficulties are not only found in children. Even as an adult, if you want to learn something new and you have a really big desire to have a new skill, but there's a sort of a mental block, or you don't know exactly why you're finding it difficult to acquire some new knowledge. I hope this video sheds some light and a new way on how you can deal with learning difficulties. So let's change perspective and carry on with the video. In front of you, there's a lot of information, and in some moments, I'll be explaining to you everything. First, we'll focus on this table and understand how handwriting and the human brain, the human mindset, is connected. The first component in any handwriting, any language whatsoever, is letters. Without letters, you can't write anything. Yes, the letter structure may vary from language to language, but these smallest understandable components in any language is letters. Multiple letters combine to form words. Multiple words combine to form sentences. Multiple sentences combine to form paragraph. This sequence is found in any language and it is always followed in this way. You can't have a paragraph without words. You can't have a sentence without letters. Either way. So, paragraph is highly dependent on how the sentence forms. Sentence is highly dependent on how words form. And letters are highly dependent on just the individual formation. We won't be talking about what formations do in these videos. In my letter formations video, the geometry is explained there, give you certain clues about letter formations. But here we are going to only study about letters, words, sentences and paragraphs and how they reveal what learning difficulties or disabilities we have within us. The handwriting has this sequence. Now let's go to the human mindset. And the first component that we experience or we are aware of is a simple thought. This simple thought, over a period of time, starts to become stronger and it gets converted into an action. Let's give an example. You have a thought of going for a picnic. The simple thought of going to a picnic results in an action of planning, driving, going to the location, packing up stuff. All these actions are sourced from one single thought. If you're enjoying picnics and you want to make it a habit to go again and again, then the action has to be repeated periodically over a period of time and then it can be called a habit. If you go for a vacation once in a year and then after a couple of years you go again, that's not actually a habit, it's just an occasional action. The action that is done regularly and is so consistent that it becomes a part of you without you consciously requiring to think about it becomes a habit. A habit over a period of time, multiple habits form a character. So you see, as we go up, we see that the building blocks of our character or our paragraph become smaller and smaller. I'll give you an example. Letters are kind of bricks of our building. The words can be the wall, the sentence can be the room, and the paragraph is the entire building. So, it's just an example or just an explanation of how this sequence is. Any language deals with this sequence, any human being deals with this sequence. Yes, there are times when we have something called as reflex actions where we don't even think about anything, we just act. Those actions come from the spinal column. The spinal column is responsible for reflex action. In certain situations or in emergency situations, it's difficult to think and act. In this scenario, thought is being replaced by a strong, focused action. As we go lower into the animal kingdom in terms of evolution, thoughts become less apparent and action becomes more. So, if you see insects and fish, they are having more action based movement compared to thinking. As we go above into the evolution, we get thoughts coming into the animals. Okay, so we are drifting away, so let's get back to graphology. Any language deals with this sequence, and any human has this sequence of thought flowing into actions, action flowing into habit, and habit flowing into character. Now, what does all this have to do with learning disabilities? Let's understand a certain concept of energies or influensive energies. There are two types of energies that affect every human being. One is the male and other is the female. Now, just for the purpose of understanding or explanation of opposites, we have labeled this as male and we have labeled this as female. This label can change. You can make this positive and negative. You can make this North Pole, South Pole, something that is opposite to each other. The name male is not really important, but for the examples which we are going to give below, it is appropriate for naming the energies, male and female. Male energies are tangible in nature, they are physical. Female energies are untangible and experiential. Experiential means whatever you can feel but you can't touch, you can't hold. It's not able to be felt by the senses, but you know it is there. Male energy is more particulate or particle form, and female energy is more of a wave pattern. Those of you who are aware of quantum physics or quantum mechanics, you will be able to understand this entire concept in a slightly different way. Those who are dealing with psychology and have good experience with that, this concept again will have a slightly different understanding in your mind. So, if you have got some points of view about these concepts, do keep it in the comments below, and it will be interesting to see how this concept can be used in other areas. Okay, let's get back to learning difficulties. Male energies is tangible and physical in nature. Female energies are untangible and experiential. Now let's get an example so that we can understand these two concepts better. The correct spelling for the word water is Water. If I have a spelling mistake like this means that the letter E has been forgotten, or I have not put the letter E here. Now the letter E is something that I can tangibly write. I can touch the letter E, I can feel it. It is a physical component of the word water. So therefore, this spelling mistake can be termed as a male spelling mistake or a physical spelling mistake where we've forgotten a whole component of the word water. Now when we go to the second example, WTREA, what's happened here is I've put all the letters which are there in the word, but the sequence is not correct. Therefore, you're not able to understand this word. This is called a female spelling mistake. Now remember, this is no offense to a male person or a female person. We're just talking about energies. Female spelling mistakes is where the sequence of the letters are not in the correct order. You can't touch a sequence, you can't feel it. It can't be held in the hand, it can't be felt. But it completely messes up the understanding of a word. So whenever you're having a spelling mistake in your handwriting, or if your child has got a spelling mistake, try to understand what kind of spelling mistake it is. What to do about it, I'll explain to you in a little time. So water as a WATRE is missing a male physical letter. This means it's a male spelling mistake. And WTREA, it has all the components, it has all the physical components, but the sequence is not correct. This means that this is a female spelling error. Let's go to the next example. Now we're talking about sentences. When we talk about sentences, it's dealing with grammar. As we saw spelling mistakes here, we also have certain learning disabilities or learning difficulties that don't allow us to understand grammar very well. Jack and Jill went up the hill. It's a simple sentence. If you have the sentence written like this, Jack and Jill uphill, this means that the whole component of the word went and the word the is missed out over here. This grammatical error is a male grammatical error where we have tried to write the sentence but the mistakes are of a male type. The tangible, I can touch this word, I can touch the word, I have written it with my hand. The writing and the actual physical movement of the hand is a male component. Jack and Jill went up the hill would be the correct sentence. And we missed out the went and the word, so this first sentence becomes a male grammatical error. Let's go to the second sentence. Jill and went Jack the hill up. This means that although all the words are there in this sentence, the sequence of it, the wave pattern, the sequence of it is messed up. So a person who knows English well will read the second sentence and not understand what's happening because the sequence of the words, the adverbs, the verbs, the pronoun, whatever is the component of grammar is not being put in the correct sequence. This is a female grammatical error. Male grammatical error is when we miss out whole component, whole words, and we have forgotten to write them. A female component is where we have written all the words, but we have not written them in a correct sequence. Now let's go into a real life scenario and understand this a little better and how we can deal with these spelling mistakes. Okay, so I've explained to you how you can identify what is the nature of your grammatical errors. Is your child having a female grammatical error or a male spelling mistake? We can identify by the way I've taught you the technique. Now what do you do about it? How do you solve this problem? There are two ways where you can solve this problem. First is the traditional method where you can do repetition of the correct word or the correct grammatical sequence, and that gets into the mind of the person, and through experience the person learns. But this method has not proved to be useful very often, and people are still stuck with the learning disabilities and the difficulties which they feel at the first grade can be also felt at the 12th grade. So how do you overcome this difficulty, and if it's still stuck with you, how do you get over with it? Any activity that you do, if the actual activity is done correctly, then it will improve your male energy. If the sequence of that activity is improved, then it will improve your female energy. Yes, ideally, the source of our female energy is from the mother, and the source of the male energy is from the father. Unfortunately, not everybody has this situation where they have got mother and father together. Sometimes you could be a single mother, or you could be a single father parenting the child. Now, what do? Don't worry. It doesn't matter too much whether you're a male or a female. What matters is the activity and the sequence of the activity. So let's take an example. If you have a child having a female grammatical error or a female spelling mistake, that means the mind is not able to comprehend sequence. Any activity that requires sequence, let's take for example, if you're solving a puzzle, the actual components of the puzzle is the male, but how you set it up and how you solve the problem is the female. So if you can help the child with a technique of solving a puzzle, that will give the mindset to solve this issue. If your child has got, or if you have got a male related grammatical error or a grammatical spelling mistake which is male energy oriented, then what we can do is actually improve the quality of the work that we're doing. So let me give you an example of both these energies or how you can deal with them. The best way to deal with these energy is sports and games. If you're playing chess, chess is the most amazing game to deal with both these problems. There are components on the chessboard and there are sequences and there are techniques to which you can conquer and win the game. This game helps you to balance out male and female energies in one shot. Let's take for example, if you're setting up your cupboard, if you want to do it up, you want to pile up the clothes in the correct way. The actual clothes, the way you folded them, the actual fold is the male. The way you've kept them into the cupboard is the female sequence. So if your child is taught to put the clothes in the cupboard in a correct sequence, that will improve the female energy in the person's mind and solve the female problem. If the child is knowing how to put the clothes correctly, but the actual clothes are not folded in the proper manner, then the fold has to be done correctly and then the male energy is sorted out. Any activity that has two components, the actual activity and the sequence, if you can manage these both, it will help to solve the problem at the mind level and then the handwriting will express a better improvement in grammatical and spelling performance. There are many examples that can be given on how you can solve your child's problem and how you can make the spelling mistakes a bit lesser and how you can absolutely stop grammatical errors. Ideally speaking, the playtime of the child heals the child a lot. The way he's supposed to play with other children and his friends, was the sequence of him giving and taking. If he's playing badminton, if he's playing table tennis, hockey, anything which has team sports also. All these games have a certain effect on the mind, and the way the person deals with these games actually affects the academic performance. So, you can do it in two ways. Either make the person practice a certain activity that requires skill and develops the male energy, or you can give them a bunch of activities and see whether the sequence of their activities is done well. Do respond to this video, practice what I have taught you here, and if you've had any benefit, if you've seen any change, good or bad, in your child or in yourself, do let me know in the comments. Like this video if you enjoyed the knowledge and if you're really excited to give it a go. And thank you for subscribing. Good day to you all.